You know, I just experienced someone was being mistreated because of somebody else's wrongdoing. So I was at this cafe here in Canada. It's called Tim Horton, and this lady came on to grab her coffee, and you come and pay for your coffee, and you wait on the other side. They put it on, you know, the area where the coffee's been, uh, you know, put in a counter for you to grab it on your way out or whatnot. This lady, it's like she's in her 60s, and the lady behind the counter making the coffee was a Muslim, and she was wearing like hijab or whatnot, and so she waited in line to get her coffee or whatnot, and so as soon as she grabbed her coffee, and she looks at the lady in hijab, and she says to her, "Oh, I am not a terrorist," because insinuating that because she's a Muslim, all Muslims are terrorists. And so that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, September 11 being an inside job, and people who have not done anything to be treated this way because of somebody else's wrongdoing. You understand? All these wars were, they manipulated governments into go to wars and treating people, treating people unjustly, because this person, she's not a terrorist because she just happened to be a Muslim and she's in hijab, and somebody else is paying for it because United States blamed Osama bin Laden, Osama bin Laden is a CIA operative, and working for the CIA or whatnot. And the world is blaming Islam on this. You understand what I'm trying to say? They always, manipulated people, turning people into each other, instigating wars, set up like situation where they paint in a country as, look, Iraq, they have a weapon of mass destruction. Iran trying to make atomic bombs. All these countries, Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi, all of those, because all those countries have oil and have resources. So they blame it on something completely justifiable to go on a war with somebody because they deem that person or that entity as a terrorist, so they're trying to do this so they can steal from that country. So what I watched today, it rubbed me the wrong way, because Islam has nothing to do with September 11. Hamas is an Israeli, terrorist organization. You understand? Even Netanyahu says, we endorsed ISIS. It was created by United States. Hillary Clinton, she says ISIS and Al Qaeda was endorsed by United States and United Kingdom. They said it. They said all of this. So they created all this terrorist group because they're endorsing them, giving them the money. We're gonna give you money to cause a havoc in that area in the name of Islam. So now people would think Islam is this, Islamic extremist and because they're trying to paint the world. They're trying to make the world seem to be anti. Yeah, they're trying to make the Islam is a bad religion and stuff. So there's a lot of anti-Islam. So what I watched, this lady treating this lady behind the counter because she's wearing hijab, treated her bad. Is it necessary for you to go and grab your coffee and say to a person in their face, I'm not a terrorist? Nobody cares if you're a terrorist or you're not terrorist. Grab your coffee and get the hell out. Shut that, you know what I mean? Don't sit there. And I didn't like it, Even if I wasn't Muslim, who does that? Even if I was not a Muslim, think of me. Am I allowed to go to a Jewish person and say, you are the cause of all world problems? Can I go up to them and say that? Yeah, I use my platform to say whatever. You don't have to listen to me, right? But I wouldn't go to a Jew or even Jordanian Jews, because not all Jews are wicked. You understand? You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Not all Jews are wicked. Okay? Am I allowed to go to a Zionist Jews and say, you are the cause of all problems? Which is true. That's what they are, But am I allowed to go and talk to them and say that? Just throw that in their face? You know what I'm saying? They know what they are. I don't have to remind them, But anyhow, that was kind of, it made me a little bit upset, It made me a little bit upset. You have to walk up to a coffee shop to trying to put somebody down, to humiliate someone because you have an opinion, Your opinion, it does not matter. Grab your goddamn coffee, excuse my French, guys. Grab your coffee and shut the hell up. This is not a political debate at Tim Horton, It's a shitty coffee shop, It's not even the best. You know what I mean? So for you to go and, to say, it's just like, people who sit in economy class and act they are flying Emirates or Swiss Airlines or Cathay Pacific or Singapore Airlines, the top 10, you're flying an economy, shut the hell up, Don't come and say stuff. You're thinking you're putting yourself in hierarchy, like you're above all. Trying to put her down, ruining somebody's day. She ruined somebody's day to make her feel, to prop herself and to make herself feel better about her. I don't want to say the word, but anyhow, you got the point. You're trying to ruin somebody's day because you feel shitty about yourself, okay? And it's not right. The bottom line, what I'm trying to say is this: why would they go and blame Islam on something they have not done? And that's what the Zionist Jews they've been doing, manipulating. The slave ship that brought in a slave from Africa, are belong to the banking system, the family of the banking system. You know who they are, Anyhow, and they brought in slaves. Did that go in history books that the one who actually sold this slave ship to the American government? Did they tell you about that? No. They never always want to be blamed for anything. They always like to point finger at somebody else and act innocent, acting like I mind my own business, I'm a good person. You're not a good person. You know what I mean? And that's what they've done. So this person now today was treated like garbage because somebody else manipulated the world to believe Islam is a terrorist, religion. All of these terrorist groups are all created by these entities to rob countries, to make their presence in the Middle East legal, like to go into the Middle East and put bases to control the oil and resources and stuff. They're always 12 countries now in that Trump announced. They all have oil or natural gas or some sort of Have you seen United States ever invade a country that's poor? Name me one. They never do. They always invade a country where there is something to be had. You know what I mean? They never go to a poor country. That they have to justify their war. They're always going after the wealthy country that's corrupt. They go to a corrupt country where and have to be this loud. But anyhow, and that was going on. So that's why this like not really sitting well with me. Having to, I had to walk up to this girl and I had to tell her, apologize how you were treated, how you were treated because of somebody's ignorant. And even the other lady behind the counter, she goes, yeah, I heard her, but I thought it was really rude. Yeah, it is rude to go to, to do that. You have political view because you think Islam is this. You know what I'm saying? Similar to when I went to London, and this person was like defending the Jews, how the Jews have been mistreated in United Kingdom. They cannot go anywhere. They cannot go anywhere without being, attacked or assaulted. The Jews, come on. You're going to be batting for the Jews? You know what I mean? They're not, little innocent little puppies. You know what I mean? It's not something like you would call someone you need to defend, So for you to come and batting for them, it's annoying, So anyhow, God says, إن الفتنة أشد من القتل. That meaning, when you manipulate people, you get people together, against each other. You bet people against each other to attack each other is worse than killing somebody. If you were to go to a person and say, that person said that to you about you or whatever, and a lie, it's not really true, and that person go take a gun and shoot that person in the head. You understand? That's worse than that, because doing it, getting people to fight each other is worse than killing each other, worse than killing somebody. That's how explanation. Sorry. إن الفتنة أشد من القتل. You understand? It's when you get people to fight each other, it's worse than killing somebody. You understand? That's what God says. So they know what damage they have caused and acting all innocent. We'll see what happens.